Okay, so moving on to page 9. This page is going to be on reflection. And another word for reflection is a flip. So you're going to flip it over an axis for or one of your axes, or you could also flip it over lines, reflect it over lines for that matter. But for the purpose of what we're doing in high school geometry, we're going to focus on reflecting across either the x-axis or the y-axis. So to get a visual, you can see I have this piece down here. So what you're going to do is take any note card, okay? Somehow you're going to make a crease in it, fold it somehow. It doesn't matter how you fold it, okay? So when you open it back up, okay, with a pencil, you're going to draw some type of figure on one side of your fold. It doesn't matter what it is, but make sure it's covered when you fold them together. So for instance, maybe I'm going to do a smiley face. So you're going to make it nice and dark. Really trace it nice and dark. Okay, so whatever you drew, again, make it nice and dark with your pencil, not a pen. Then what you're going to do is fold it back over, and then you're going to use your nail, and you're going to rub, scratch where your pencil drawing was. Because what we wanted to do is make an imprint on the other side. Okay, so now if you look at it, hopefully you can see now it's not dark, but it made an imprint on the other side, and that's what I want to happen. Okay, so the original figure is your pre-image. That was your before. And your new, the imprint, is your image. You can see that it was reflected across the folds. And the last thing I want you to do is trace with your pen or pencil that fold and title this is the line of reflection. That's the line we reflected across, okay? And then somehow, tape or glue stick, whichever you prefer, you're gonna attach it to the bottom of the page. So again, you get some type of visual about what a reflection does, okay? Now, for the graph, what you're gonna need to do first is you need to draw in your X and your Y axis on either your graph paper, or if you got it from me, your graph paper sticker. So again, first thing you're gonna do is draw in your X and your Y axis. So here's the Y axis. Remember, your Y axis is your vertical one, and then we're going to draw in the X axis, the horizontal one. So this is the X axis. Okay, so to start, it's up to you. I'm going to draw a triangle in the first quadrant, just so we're consistent. So however big or small you want to make it, you're going to draw me a triangle in the first quadrant. And you can name it whatever you like. If you want to call it triangle cat or dog or cow, whatever. Maybe I'm just going to go with the generic ABC. Okay, so let's reflect it across the x-axis first. So remember, your x-axis is the horizontal axis. So when I flip it, it's going to flip it down into this fourth quadrant. So if you remember how we did this in the activity, from the x-axis, notice B is 2 points above. So if I reflect it, it's going to go 2 points below. So there's my B prime. Same thing with C. C was 2 points above. Now it's going to be 2 points below. So there's my C prime. And then A was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points above. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points below. So once I have my 3 points, you're going to draw your triangle. Now, besides just being able to draw it, let's also talk about it in terms of a rule. So if you think about it, you know, my original, let's just go with C, for instance. C had the ordered pair 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 comma 2 in my picture, and C prime had the coordinates 8 comma negative 2 in the picture. Well, if I look at those two ordered pairs, you know, what changed? Hopefully you notice the x's stayed the same. What's happening to your y's? They're just changing sign. So a rule for a reflection across the x-axis looks like xy, and it's going to go to x comma negative y. So again, all you're doing is changing the sign of your y coordinate. Okay, so if I haven't mentioned this before, you know, what you should be able to do by the end of this unit, besides doing each of the transformations, is being able to look at a rule and tell me, you know, what type of movement is occurring. So if you see this rule, hopefully you'll be like, oh yeah, that's a reflection across the x-axis. Okay, so next, let's do a reflection across the y-axis. So remember, your y-axis is your vertical axis, okay? So we're going to approach it the same kind of way. So B is 2 units to the right of the y-axis. So when I reflect it, it's going to be 2 units to the left. Same thing with A. It's 2 units to the right, so it's going to now be 2 units to the left. And then C was 8 units to the right, so now it's going to be 8 units to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So again, next you're going to draw in your triangle. Okay, so last but not least, for a rule, if you're reflecting across the y-axis, we'll think about what changed. Your C was at 8, 2. C prime is now at negative 8, 2. So notice what's changing? The sign of your x-coordinate. The y's are still the same, 2 and 2, but your x went from 8 to negative 8. So again, your rule for reflecting across the y-axis goes from xy to negative xy. So in general, you're changing the sign of the opposite variable. So if you're doing a reflection across the y-axis, you're changing the sign of the x variable. If you're reflecting across the x-axis, again, you're changing the sign of the y coordinate. Okay.